The Baltimore Ravens have won 5 straight. Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL, on track for a 3rd NFL MVP. Derrick Henry is on pace for 2,100 yards after everyone said he was washed at 30 years old. Mark Andrews is back. The Ravens have now scored over 30 points in 4 straight games. So let's go, man. Y'all already know. Y'all been watching for a while. It's absolutely purple shades time. The Ravens dominate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 41-31 points. The score makes it seem like it was a lot closer than it was, but the Ravens dominated the entire game besides the first 2 offensive drives. We're going to talk about our top takeaways, talk about some of the injuries, we'll talk about some of the things the Ravens can improve at, and much more. We got some post-game sound bites and much more. Let's dive into the content. At number 1, our first takeaway is Lamar Jackson. I mean, where else do you start besides Lamar Jackson? First of all, the Ravens go down 0-10. All right? Buccaneers, they punch us in the mouth. They get that wide open touchdown to Mike Evans. And then the next drive, they stop us. They get a field goal. Lamar Jackson gets absolutely smoked on 2 sacks, back-to-back sacks, and puts us in like 4th and 30 or something like that on the first drive. But after that, I mean, just doesn't flinch. Doesn't like get all finicky like some quarterbacks where they're panicking and feeling pressure that's not there. He trusted his guys. He settled in, and he delivered darts all night. He was so elusive in the pocket, got out in some scrambles. He goes 17 of 22. And one of those was a drop that hit Patrick Rashod right in the hands, by the way. But 17 of 22 for 281 passing yards and a 158.1 passer rating. That's absurd. 5 passing touchdowns. Another Jackson 5 on NFL Monday Night Football primetime. There's just no one playing like him right now. And I'm not trying to be – I know we got the purple shades on. I know we cover the Ravens. But look at the numbers. You know, he's 5th in the NFL right now in passing yards. That's despite being up in a ton of games where we're running the football and not having to throw the football. He's still 5th in passing. 1,810 yards and 2nd in the NFL in passing touchdowns with an absurd 15 touchdowns to 2 interception ratio and 118 passer rating overall. He's also 68% in completion percentage. He's 1st in all quarterbacks in rushing yards, but check this out, 11th in the entire NFL in rushing yards, including all the running backs and everyone else in the league. 11th in rushing, 5th in passing, 2nd in QBR, 1st in passer rating, 7th in completion percentage. So top 10 to top 5 in every statistical category as a passer. And then what he does on the ground, like nobody else can do what he's able to do. Let's talk about some of these throws, man. First of all, we'll talk about Bateman here in a second, but that one deep ball, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the way that it came out of his hands was a absolute rocket. Like the velocity, I was expecting it to like take a little bit to get there because it was 60 air yards. I know it was a 49-yard touchdown in the stat book, but he was standing on the 40 and dished it, and it got to Bateman in a hurry, and still had a nice arc on it, just beautiful, dropped it right in the bucket for Rashad Bateman. But the velocity that thing had coming out of his hands, it was an absolute dart. But even more so than some of those throws, like on the 3rd down, you know, he throws a beautiful out route. I think it was to Bateman. A couple of nice 3rd down conversions. I think one was to Isaiah Likely. He's working the outside of the field, the middle of the field. He's seeing the field so well right now, and he's able to avoid pressure, dish the ball, scrambling. Nobody can scramble like Lamar Jackson in the NFL. So 17 of 22, 281 yards, 5 touchdowns, 158 passer rating, and then gets some stuff done on the ground as well. Also gets out on a lead block for Derrick Henry. That's just absurd, man. Here's what Derrick Henry had to say about him doing that and being unselfish.
Man, that's unbelievable. Somebody as a quarterback and his caliber to be that unselfish, to be blocking downfield, the teammate he is, man, and that's the type of guy that can have the game and don't even know any stats. All he knows is the guys he threw to and guys he scored. This dude just incredible, man. Like I said in an interview a couple weeks ago, I think he's the GOAT for sure.
So the Ravens offense goes over 500 total yards. They just do whatever they want to teams right now. I mean, run game, screen game, traditional drop back passing game, quick passing game, deep passing game, intermediate. It's all there. The Ravens are able to execute at such a high level right now. And a big part of that at number 2 is our guy, Rashad Bateman. Some guys in the Patreon Discord were saying, hey, man, weren't you calling for a Bateman 100-yard game here soon? I said, I certainly was, because Rashad Bateman, we talked about the talent all offseason. As a whole, just side note, we talked about some of the people thought we were exaggerating whenever we said, like, hey, no, like, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Derrick Henry, and these tight ends with Likely and Mandrews, that this could be the best offense Lamar Jackson's ever had. It could be the best offense in the NFL this season, and it's going to create a lot of problems. Some people thought we were just exaggerating and, Derrick Henry's washed, and, Bateman and Flowers really aren't that good. They're not even number 2 receivers on some teams, but, no. The amount of talent, skill guys on this team right now that can hurt you is really, really special. But Rashad Bateman, he led the charge today. 4 catches for 121 yards. The Bateman breakout game is here. Now, he's had some other games. I think last week he went over 70 receiving yards and had a couple of 50-yard games and stuff. But we said, hey, man, sooner or later, the floodgates are going to open. It's going to burst, and Bateman's going to go off because he's too talented. The route running, the separation, and he showed it today, averaging 30.3 yards per catch. I think heading into this game, he was averaging about 18, so I'd like to see what that does to his average. But Bateman, not only can he get it done on, move the sticks, third down, tough catches, but he can also just absolutely take the top right off your defense. There was the one beautiful scramble. Lamar Jackson gets out to the right. He points to Bateman, and he goes for 50 or 60 yards on that scramble. And then, of course, the 49-yard strike, the touchdown where he beat Zion McCollum, a very good, talented corner. And then equally as impressive was some of the beautiful timed out routes on third down that he picks up, moves with chains. Rashad Bateman emerging as a legit threat that defenses have to deal with. It's not fair, because I was listening to Bill Belichick talking about the Ravens on the Pat McAfee show, and he says, hey, on third down, you got to cover Mark Andrews and Flowers, and then spy Lamar, and then that's the game plan. Stop Mark, stop Zay, and spy Lamar. But if Bateman shows up as a legit threat like this, that can hurt you on third down or just take the top off your defense, watch out, man. Who do you put your attention on? Who do you put your attention on third and long? If you got Isaiah Likely on the field that has a monster catch radius, strong hands, Mark Andrews, the safety blanket, and very talented tight end with all the chemistry that him and Lamar have, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. There's just too many guys right now between tight ends and receivers that you have to worry about. And then you have to worry about Justice Hill catching the ball as well. I mean, he's a legit threat. He goes 3 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown. The next best receiver on the game is Mark Andrews, 4 catches for 41 and 2 touchdowns. So that brings us to number 3. Mark Andrews. He's back. The confidence, the chemistry, whatever it is that, we weren't seeing a lot of Mark Andrews early in the season, it's back, man. Mark Andrews, he looks quick. He looks explosive. His catch radius, and then now the confidence coming back. 2 receiving touchdowns versus the Buccaneers. 4 catches, 44 yards. 4 catches, 41 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns with a long of 20. And then he's also blocking the best he has in his entire career. And then, Charlie Kolar, I think it was the first big throw of the day, had a nice catch on the sideline. Isaiah Likely, 2 catches, 17 yards. The Kolar catch was 14 yards. Derrick Henry has a receiving touchdown, 1 for 13 yards. Just so many ways to hurt you with this offense. At number 4, let's talk about the pass defense, because we saw some good things. We saw some bad things. And first of all, let's talk about what I did not like. The biggest problem with the pass defense right now is just missed assignments and dropped cover. It's not even okay, they beat us there. They made a nice play. No, I think I wrote down in my notes, my game log as we were watching, Rashod White had at least 3 wide open catches in the left flat. Didn't have to do anything but just leak out, catch the ball, and run upfield for 20 yards. I think one of them was a touchdown that gave them a little bit of life, and then they kicked the onside kick, right? But several times where the running back just goes uncovered and picks up 20 yards easily. No opposition, doesn't have to break a tackle. That's the type of stuff that's holding down this defense right now. And then the other one, Mike Evans, the first touchdown that he had before the hamstring injury. He could have very well had 2 touchdowns today. But the first one was wide open, not contested, not even a tight window throw. Evans finds a hole in the defense there, finds a space. Nice scheme. Maybe the Buccaneers saw something on tape, but again, a wide open touchdown. We're just making it too easy for some of these passers. Baker Mayfield, I know some of it was in garbage time, but 370 passing yards, which still puts us at the worst passing defense in the NFL right now in yards allowed. That's not good enough, man. It's not championship level defense. We have certainly a championship level offense right now. And we saw flashes of championship level defense tonight. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what was good. What I liked, Odafe Owe, the sack. I saw him with some nice pass rushes. David Ojabo, I saw him have a couple of nice rushes as well. Kyle Van Noy gets the sack. So Matabike was up in the face of Baker a lot as well. So I like the pass rush, the defensive line. I feel like they're doing a pretty good job. There was some times, though, where there was no pressure. Baker Mayfield had plenty of time, but it's also worth mentioning that the Buccaneers have one of the best offensive lines in football. A great left tackle, good right tackle, Graham Barton, first round in the draft, like a bunch of guys on the offensive line that can really play. But the Ravens were still able to get some pressure at times. Another thing I liked was Marlon Humphrey. The dude looks like his 2019 All-Pro self. He talked about how he lost 10 pounds, 15 pounds. He wanted to get lighter and move better. 2 interceptions. The one, it kind of came right to him, but the other one was a beautiful read in zone coverage and went up and high-pointed it and was able to pin it against his helmet as he was going to the ground to retain that interception. Marlon Humphrey, who has dropped some easy ones, he gets that real tough catch there. Beautiful interception. That's the difference in this game, I think. Those 2 interceptions, because we scored off of those 2 interceptions. Marlon Humphrey, big reason why the Ravens come out with a comfortable win there. It wasn't just the 2 interceptions I liked from Humphrey. He was also tight in coverage. There was one he got cleanly beat on by Chris Godwin over the middle of the field. Godwin put a nice move on him. He beat him. It happens. But Marlon Humphrey, great overall game, 2 interceptions. Kyle Hamilton, I liked him. That's another good aspect of the pass defense. He was tight in coverage, and he just pops people. Every time, there's so many times where he hits a guy where you should say, man, that looks like it could be a flag, but you look at the replay, and it's just a clean shoulder-to-shoulder hit, just demolishing guys. I mean, just clean hits, but a lot of force coming in hot. Kyle Hamilton popping people tight in coverage. Nate Wiggins had a nice game. I thought he was tight in coverage as well and got his hand on one pass breakup, I think it was. And then John Harbaugh talked about this after the game, but I mean, how many picks could we have had if we hold on to him? I mean, that's one thing that's got to improve, but at least we're in the position, right? Where we're getting our hands, we're around the football. I think there could have been maybe 4 or 5 interceptions tonight if we catch all of them, which would have made the game completely different as far as the score and the total amount of passing yards that we allowed. I think they're trending in the right direction, but the pass defense still got to get better. And it's weird, like the running back and the tight ends in the receiving game have given us some issues, which tells me it's not so much a talent issue as much as it is a scheme issue, because these tight ends and running backs just leaking out, and guys just not having the right assignment. Cade Otton, 8 catches, 100 yards. He's not like the world's best tight end. He just was able to get open, man. He was just wide open at times. And then Rashod White, 6 catches for 71 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ridiculous how we let the running back out there uncovered. And number 5, let's just talk about a couple of key numbers here that's really impressive. First of all, Lamar was blitzed on 61.5% of his dropbacks, and which was the third highest rate for a Lamar game, regular postseason, all time. So they blitzed him a lot. They came after him a lot, 61.5% of the time. And versus that blitz, he was 11 for 15, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 148.9 passer rating. We talked about how Lamar Jackson was able to be more control at the line of scrimmage. We talked about how Todd Monken was able to dial in some of these hot routes and the communication and, just well-orchestrated plans against the blitz. It was something they worked on in training camp a lot, was specifically just, hey, what are we going to do versus the blitz? Getting a ball out quick. And then his God-given ability to, slip a tackle, get out of the way, get out of the pocket, scramble, and then make you pay downfield. Really impressive how the Ravens have solved that issue against the blitz. That has been an issue in some years past. Another number here, Marlon Humphrey is the only cornerback in the NFL with 4+ interceptions this season. Marlon Humphrey was a guy that's always been known for tight coverage, but he's adapted and evolved his game to be able to read and, quarterback's eyes, get his head around in coverage, and has now logged 4 interceptions. I love to see this from Marlon Humphrey. In years past, it was all about the fruit punch, punching the ball out, which I saw him try to punch the ball out on Godwin one time. And I still think that'll come this season, but also adding in the picks is a big development and improvement of Marlon Humphrey's game, who's playing some of the best football of his career right now. And we got to talk about Ronnie Stanley as well. Did not allow a single pressure on 26 pass blocking snaps. And Stanley has yet to allow a sack this season in 224 pass blocking snaps. He's the only left tackle with 50+ snaps and 0 sacks allowed. So Stanley, one of the best tackles in football right now. I mean, he looks incredible. A big part of the success that we got to give some love to. And then Derrick Henry, he hit the highest speed of the season for him, 5th highest in the NFL. I think it was 21.7 miles per hour. Got around the edge, burst downfield. Derrick Henry, man, he's on track for somewhere around 2,100 rushing yards. It's absolutely absurd. All right, guys, man, I could talk about this game a lot longer, but I'll let you guys go, man. If you're still watching, make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's content. And I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.